Hello, my friends, and welcome to BMW Authority Models Bargain or Bust Part 10. Here we have a 2004 model R1150 RT with only 34,000 miles in the shop. But low mileage is not always an indication that you've got a good deal. Sometimes these bikes just are not well cared for. They don't get a bath when they're supposed to. They're dirty little piggies. And when you start peeling the skins off and getting underneath, woo, you find all kinds of trouble.
This is the most bizarre fucking thing I've seen. Somebody broke the plastic connector maybe that sits here for the fuel pump.
Corroded or something.
And now they have just crimped and shrink tubed the two together. So how the fuck do you remove the tank without cutting everything? So this is the end result of somebody's bad idea of a quick disconnect. I put bolts on them at least, but unfortunately most of them came apart when you pull the wires apart. Always something.
This bike's starting off to be a not so fun job. You know what I mean? Everything is shitty on it. Everything. It's rusty, it's dirty, it's moldy. It needs a lot of attention. You can tell this thing has not been well maintained. The starter is missing the pin here to align the starter against the flywheel. This turns out to bite us in the ass later on. Look at this. That's the slave cylinder for the transmission. Look at those fittings.
Oh, slave. Well, hey, it's not horrible. It's on its way out, but it's not horrible. That brown shitty paste is brake fluid and bearing.
It's a good indication of what the rest of this job is going to be like. This bike's sitting here with a stripped input shaft, and you'll notice this transmission swing arm and rear drive are black. That is because it is the drivetrain from an 1150R Rockster. This drivetrain's already been replaced. Transmission, swing arm, drive shaft, and rear end. Because the transmission splines failed, the drive shaft failed, the rear drive failed. So these things were replaced with used components by someone at some point, and here it is sitting on my lift. And our task is to replace the transmission and the stripped clutch with a modified clutch from Bruno, replace the slave cylinder, and get this machine functional again. That big red sticker you see on top of the transmission is a BMW authorized factory rebuilt sticker. So that transmission was replaced while this bike was still in duty with a police department.
We'll look at the splines in a minute. These splines are in really, really rough shape. Of course, the splines in the clutch are worse as always. Come on, no teeth.
This isn't necessarily from abuse, it is a design flaw. While we're in the midst of this project, who happens to stop by the shop? This guy. You know who this is, right? While some motor cops are out doing this, Teach isn't. Let's Teach McNeil, and he's here on a newer police motor for you. Teach was hired by BMW to attract the new BMW rider. So Teach goes around the country doing stunt shows on current model BMWs to please the crowds. gives them a pretty thorough flogging. You know, clutches get abused, brakes get abused, drive shaft, all that kind of thing. So we got to sit down and discuss clutches and abuse and BMWs in general for a bit. It's always nice when Chris stops by for a visit. Here we're looking at this thing's going back together. There's the modified clutch from Bruno. And this silly little bracket here on the right side of the transmission.
Point out how BMW makes solutions to something that shouldn't even be a problem. This little bracket that carries the vacuum hose to the throttle body is supported in this clip. Now, this clip had to be made, the plastic had to be made offset so that you could swing this around to have a clear shot to get to the fucking bell housing bolt. Ingenious, but what the fuck? Unnecessary. The U.S. is the only country that has this fucking charcoal canister, and that's the only reason these vacuum hoses are there. Get rid of this shit, put the caps on it, problem solved. You wouldn't need the goofy bracket. You wouldn't need the goofy little clip that holds it.
But I don't design them, I just work on them and ride them. So, it is what it is. Here's the new slave cylinder we're ready to install. It's nice from Beamer Boneyard. Comes with a gasket and the crush seals. And here we're removing the old one.
There's so much corrosion in the holes of the original transmission for the 3 mounting holes for the slave cylinder that even though I ran through them with a tap, this upper right one was not happy and was about ready to break. But fortunate, between the freeze spray and the Rostov, we got it out without breaking.
And the bike starts going back together bit by bit. These are always a lot of work when you put a clutch in one of these machines, especially the Authority model. These take a bit more than usual because there's usually stuff done that most people wouldn't do. That's nice. Somebody cut the front.
That's nice. Somebody cut the front cover in half because it's a bitch to get them out because of these crash bars. Fuck me.
They didn't even tape it. You could have at least electrical taped it to finish the deal.
They don't care.
Even a little silicone.
Bead of silicone would have been nice, caulking, anything, something.
No, just leave it exposed. Change the air filter and
Diagnosis of ineffective left grip. As we see, we have 104 on the right grip. We have 67 on the left grip, so it's not doing shit. So we got to take this apart, figure out why it's not working. First, we're going to trace these wires back, the heated grip down, because with all the stuff removed on the front, it's likely that somebody snipped the wrong fucking wire. Contacts are green, corroded, just disgusting. So we're hitting it with contact cleaner. Contact treatment. Doesn't mean we found the problem, but if this isn't the problem, it's a problem in the making that's soon gonna be a freaking problem. So we are now hey, we're working. 92. Throttle side's always a bit warmer because the heating element is on the plastic throttle tube, whereas that side you have the metal of the handlebar sucking up the heat. So we're good. We have heat. Not working as quite as hot as I would like it, so we'll give it a few more minutes. While we are waiting for the grips to get up to temp, we're looking at these accessory outlets. There's no connector on them. So Well, there used to be, but that one's broken. So, oh, that's what these are. Someone hacked it. Oh. Someone hacked it. And now we're done. 120.
Hilarious.
And yeah, I just had over 100 here. There we go, 107. Warmer down the end, which probably is due to the age of the heating element. But it works, and it's hot, so we should be good. This thing needs a starter. Oh. Yeah, where it's engaging and then disengaging. That's the Bendix not staying engaged.
I saw sparks on that one.
Starter. Damn.
Got a bearing like that?
Now we have this disassembled. This pivot was loose, and we can see why, because that was just mashed in, and the whole fucking bearing is fucked up. That sucks, because these are $70 a piece or something now. And I don't know that I have any left. Oh yeah, plenty of grunting there. Shit.
But I usually keep a pretty good stock of BMW parts for service work, so I had these on hand. We were able to replace these paralever pivot bearings, which were on this used rear drive that we were installing, along with the used transmission that was supplied with the bike and the used drive shaft that was supplied. This thing's finally going back together, and it's getting my favorite gear lube. And we're going to get this thing finished, we hope.
It's a RTP from New York. It's the first time we go to crank this. That is fucking horrendous.
Holy shitballs. Oh my
That's
god.
not cool.
Looks like it's gonna blow up.
That's not cool. So we're gonna be taking the left foot peg plate off.
What the fuck was that?
And the fucking starter and see what the fuck is going on in there. More freaking delays.
Got the no pin.
Yeah, that had no alignment pin. Neither did that one though. Don't know. When you go to start your BMW, does it sound like this? If so, you need a flywheel. This damage is frequently caused by the starter being removed at some point and not torqued sufficiently or not aligned, like the alignment pin missing, which is the case with the original starter from this one. Unfortunately with this, we did not find the damage until after putting the clutch, modified clutch in, and so we get to do all of this labor over again. The bike was not running when it came in. So that's the project for today. And we'll show you the damaged flywheel when we get it apart.
So here it is, coming apart again. You need to take the clutch out to access the flywheel, of course. So transmission is removed, clutch pack is removed. Ta-da! There's your flywheel. There's our culprit. There's a few teeth worn down there. Of course, we got a little bit of a weepy rear main seal, but this bike ran on synthetic for a while, so you go wipe that down and put dyno oil in and go back to work. There's a tool to block the flywheel so you can torque the flywheel properly, and it's going back together. Hey, it's our schlock.
So, starter's installed. Brandon's gonna give it a shot. That's what it's supposed to sound like. This is a bit louder than normal because the baffle is falling apart. You can see pieces of it hanging down inside. So it's a rattler. But that's the way your starter is supposed to sound. So if yours doesn't sound that way, you really should fix it before you end up stranded somewhere. You can still bump start these bikes. You usually gonna need third or fourth gear. Not often you have to do that though. Unless your flywheel stripped and you're at that dead spot, you're kind of stuck sometimes.
It's like
This fucking motorcycle is just incredible. We now have a fuel leak. We haven't even disturbed any of this shit yet, but it's leaking. It's either the fuel pump plate or one of the clamps. One of the lines might be split. So we're taking the fuel tank off yet again, and we'll have to inspect that. Our flywheel is replaced. The rest of the bike is done. It starts right up nicely, but man, I'm done working on this thing. I'm gonna finish this freaking thing up. That's occupying too much of my life. So we're gonna finish this thing up as soon as possible. We'll see what the fuck's going on with that fuel pump plate. Bike has a fuel leak. We'll hold that. You see it's wet here. Dry it with the air. Yeah, don't get too close. It fucks up the focus. It's gotta be. This is gonna be wet in a minute. It's seeping through the metal. You can see how it's creeping up here. And we're wet again. Watch, I'll blow it off. It'll be dry. And wet again. It's starting on the back side. That sucks. This needs a fuel pump plate. It never ends with this motorcycle. Never ends with this bike. I can't even. I don't know. I don't know what to do at this point. 21 April 2014. This thing's been on battery tenders. The BMW specific tender on the main battery, and a battery tender international on the auxiliary battery, because that is an Odyssey. Yet we still have a shit main battery, so it needs to be replaced, which I will do now. A new Westco battery installed. Let's see how it starts now. Yeah, look at that shit. Incredible. Alright, I'm going to set your tire pressures and do the test ride. It's ready to go. First of May 2014, this R1150 RTP is scheduled to leave this evening between, I believe, 5:30 and 7:30. And I am done with it. Spare parts are here. Fuel pump plate, flywheel, spark plugs, miscellaneous items. Where we have clutch disc, air filter, and other miscellaneous goodies. And that's it. So I would ride it, and if you like it, look for another one that's in better shape and get rid of this one. That's the best advice I can give you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd like to see the material that YouTube will not allow me to post on YouTube, I post that stuff over on my Patreon channel, where you can go check that out and see what can't be seen over here. It's a new world coming. They don't allow us to do much over here like we used to. It's different, you know? You don't know. That's the trouble. People don't know how much things have changed for us YouTube creators. They're fucking squeezing us hard.